Hey everyone, and welcome back to Zero Escape 999, where last time we made our way through the shower room, where we found Snake's body, unfortunately and tragically. We also discussed with June some lovely memories of their childhood, Junpei and June together, when a bunch of rabbits were murdered. God, what is with this game? Everything is so morbid, people are exploding, rabbits are dying. I don't like this. Today, we've made it through the shower room. Let's continue working to hopefully get off this ship. Outside of the shower room was a hallway that extended off to the left and right. At the right end was a large iron door. They'd moved a few steps toward the door when Junpei heard the sound of metal on metal. They turned around. Seven was doing something to the door of the shower room. "What are you doing, Seven?"
"Well, I figured maybe we might want to come back here sometime. So I stuck the broom in there to keep the door from shutting."
Not a bad idea. I'm not a particular fan of the idea of going back to where Snake died, but... You did the same thing with the first class cabin, didn't you?
"Alright, let's go."
Well, at least someone's thinking ahead. With that, he stood up and began walking down the hallway. He brushed past Junpei and kept going. After a moment, the rest of them followed him. Before long, they found themselves at the large iron door. They'd only been there for a moment when June spoke up. "Junpei, look!" He turned. There, on the right side of the hallway, was a piece of paper attached to the wall. Junpei ran over and peeled it off. Oh, it's a map! Oh, thank goodness. It's a map of the ship's interior. It said C deck in the upper left corner. From what he could tell, it was a map of the floor they were on. There would be time to look at it later. Junpei folded the map and stuffed it into his pocket. "Now hold on, Junpei. I want to see that map. I'm pulling up that map." Okay, so this is the B-Deck map. Last time we took a look, we were in this area, middle hallway in the middle of all the green. Casino was in the bottom left, and the first class cabin's on the bottom left here. We took the stairs down on the bottom, which brought us to C-Deck. Then to the right, we have the many, many, many hospital rooms. And then, ooh, looks like, interestingly, that does lead back to the grand hallway we met everyone at. But if I remember correctly, the doors were locked to get in there. Meanwhile, over here on the left is the large hospital room. We took door 3, which would be the bottom left green. Let me go ahead and highlight that. This one, the one that's now red. That went into the shower room. We came in through the... We went in through a hallway that's at the bottom of the room. Came in through the hallway going left and right. In through the bottom. We stepped directly onto Snake's body. Ugh. Then we exited through the top into another hallway. The iron door they said was on our right. And the map was to the right of that. Oh. Okay. I see where this is going. Back of the door, the 4 of them lined up in front of it. Santa stepped forward. He grabbed hold of the door and then turned to look back at the rest of them. "Ready? I'm gonna open it." They nodded. Santa nodded back and threw the door open. All 4 of them leapt through. It took only a moment for them to realize where they were. They had been there only a short time ago. Yep, we're back in the hospital room. It was a large hospital room filled with countless beds. Crap. Lotus and Clover looked up as they entered. Ace was there as well, although he looked as though he had only just woken up. The moment they spotted Junpei, Lotus and Clover headed straight for him. "Oh, we're dead. Junpei, you're going to die." As she neared him, Lotus drew back her hand and slapped him open-palmed across the face. "Just a slap? He deserved worse than that." "How could you do this to us?" Her face was furious. She grabbed Junpei by the collar and shook him violently. Clover didn't touch him, but the hate in her eyes was no less potent. It was Seven who stopped them.
"Knock it off. We've got bigger shit to worry about right now."
His deep voice echoed across the massive room. Lotus glared at Seven, but let Junpei go after one last vicious shake. What?
Go have a look. I stuck the screwdriver in the door. That door over there, the one without a number. So long as the screwdriver's there, it can't shut, so you can get in there.
Seven also explained how they might find the shower room and how he'd use the broom to ensure that the door remained open as well. Then you're saying we can go in there without passing through the numbered door?
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
What the hell is in there?
You'll know when you see it.
Oh no, we're gonna send Clover to see. No, fuck. Lotus and Clover looked at one another for a moment, then nodded and stepped through the door. Seven, are you sure that was a good idea to... Oh, God. By then, Ace had made his way to them, moving with the stiff, shuffling steps of someone who has only just awoken from a lengthy slumber. My goodness. I know I said I was sure you'd come back for me. I didn't think it would happen so soon, though. Ace shook his head weakly. Ace, you don't gotta joke about this. Okay, you know what? I'm taking another look at the map. So we exited the shower room into the hallway that runs through the middle of the 3 green rooms, forming the kind of sideways L shape. Looks like there aren't really any other doors other than doors that lead to where the other numbered doors would have gone. Because let's see. Door number 7 would have gone to the... How to describe it? I don't have a pointer to point at with you with this. So the long rectangular green right in the middle. The far right side of that, on the very top of that green, right up against the corner between that and the hospital room. That's where door 7 would have gone, and it looks like it would have led into this room. Ugh. And then judging from the doors, it looks like the exit would have been at the bottom, I'm guessing? Yeah, I'm going to guess it would have been at the bottom, which would have led into the same hallway we were in. Door 8 would have led into this room, following the hallway around a couple corners. Lovely. And then the exit would have again been into the hallway that we were in. So there's no way forward through those 3 doors. Shoot! Ace shook his head weakly. Should I go as well? 7 nodded. Very well. Ace followed Lotus and Clover with his stiff, tired gait. Please don't fall over. You just woke up from anesthetic nap. The squeal of tortured metal made Junpei's teeth curl. It sounded like the noise a ghost would make. No matter how many times he heard it, he never got used to it. Every time it put him on edge. It didn't help that there was a girl nearby who looked far more like a ghost than a living human should. They're back. It was Clover. She sat on the edge of the bed, her head drooping listlessly onto her chest. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to see that. Her eyes were blank and stared across the room at nothing. Her breathing was slow and mechanical. Aside from the rise and fall of her chest, she didn't move. Junpei felt as if even a nudge might cause her to shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Snake was probably murdered. Chances are he was killed the same way the 9th man was.
7 lowered his voice, likely in an effort to keep Clover from hearing what he had to say. There were 4 other people in the room with Junpei and 7. Ace, Santa, June, and Lotus. Who's missing? Hang on. Snake's dead. 9th man is dead. Ace, Santa, Clover, Junpei, June, 7, Lotus. That's everyone. Hang on. There's a typo there. There's definitely a typo there. Hang on. Who's missing from the list then? It says Junpei 7. It says 6 names. Oh my god, why is my brain farting right now? Ace, Santa, Clover. Clover's the one who's not listed. God, I don't know why my brain farted just there. 7 looked at each one of them in turn and continued.
It's pretty straightforward. Not that hard to figure out how they did it. First, the killers got Snake to authenticate on the red to open door 3. Then they shoved him into it alone, and waited 9 seconds for the door to shut. Once that door shut, it was over for Snake, but he didn't give up. He probably knew it wouldn't do him any good, but he probably ran into the shower room looking for the dead. There's a small chance, but it wasn't like he had anything to lose. Unfortunately, it didn't work. The detonator's only deactivated if everybody who authenticated when they went in uses the dead. And then 81 seconds after he was shoved in, that happened. I see. So that's what you meant by killers, huh? You need at least 3 people to open one of the numbered doors, including Snake. It needs to be 2 additional people. Snake is 2. Snake is 2, so the other 2 need to have a digital root of 1. What combinations work? If it's any more than 2 co-conspirators, that gets a little bit absurd. That's hard to imagine that more than 2 people are working together and murdering Snake. So Ace and Ninth Man would work, but Ninth Man's dead. Snake cannot do it, so that also implicitly rules out Lotus. It could be Santa and 7. It could be Junpei. No, it could be Clover and June, and then Junpei doesn't have a combination that works with him? Wait, hang on. Junpei and June would be 5 and 6. That would be 11. That would be 2. No, that wouldn't work. Yeah, June. And we're playing as Junpei, so we know it couldn't have been him, but there's also no combinations that would have worked. It's impossible that Clover murdered her own brother. I do not buy that for even half a second. So that leaves only one combination. That would be Santa? And who did I say was Santa? 7. Santa and 7 makes 10. Makes 1. I don't like this, but 7's the one who's explaining it, so it wouldn't open for Snake and a single killer. Exactly. That means we're looking at multiple perps here. Junpei crossed his arms and grunted. Well, just in case, I want to make sure. Let's say you were right. Then when do you think Snake was killed?
When we all split up to look for parts for the Reds, I think.
Yeah, that's the only place that makes sense. We had Snake with us up until then, and he vanished after that.
Right after that was when we noticed he was gone.
That means none of us have alibis. Oh, and we also have an alibi for June. So it also can't be June and Clover. We were with June the whole time. So either it was Santa and 7, or there were 3 or more perpetrators. And if there's 3 or more perpetrators, well, let's see. We've got who's alive? We've got 7 people alive. We've got June has an alibi, leaving 6. Junpei, we're playing as, he has an alibi. That's 5 left. It was not Clover, so that's 4 left. That narrows down to 4 possibilities. I'm not gonna go over them all because but just like combinatorics, there's only 4 possibilities. Of 4 people, choose 3 of them. There's only 4 possible setups. I just don't want to go through the math in my head. And that's at most. That's a maximum of 4. You know what? No, I'm curious enough. I'm gonna write this down, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I went through every single possible combination. We know Snake cannot be one of his own murderers because he's already accounted for. It is incredibly improbable that Clover contributed to her own brother's murder. I fucking do not believe that for a second. We know it can't be June, because she was with us the whole time that Snake would have been murdered. And then we know it can't be Junpei because we're playing as him. So these 2 have alibis for each other. Junpei and June have alibis for each other. June can confirm that we were not the ones who murdered Snake, and we can confirm that June was not. Granted, the rest of them don't have to believe us, but we know that. So, That leaves the only possible suspects are Ace, Santa, Seven, and Lotus. I went through every possible combination of those 4 people, with at least 2 people, so that we can meet the rules of the door. The only 2 combinations where a set of those people adds up to a digital root of 1, which you need to pair with Snake in order to send Snake through door 3. The only combinations that work are Santa and Seven, or literally everyone. Ace, Santa, Seven, and Lotus, and that seems fucking ridiculous. So, Seven? Then that means none of us have alibis. We were all off searching the rooms we'd been assigned looking for those parts.
Yeah, that means anybody could be a killer.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about? June seemed shocked. How can you say one of us is a killer so casually? Because someone's... 2 people are... Well, okay, Ninth Man kind of did it to himself, but Snake's dead, and he can't have gone through there on his own.
Well, not just one of us. If I'm right, and at least 2 of us are murderers.
Why don't you calm down a bit, Seven? What are you going to gain by being so suspicious? That's what Zero wants, you know?
What Zero wants?
Exactly. This game was set up by Zero, wasn't it? Any game has a winner and a loser. Whoever makes it through door 9 is a winner, and those who don't are the losers. Zero is trying to make us fight against one another for that victory. Then you're saying that Zero is trying to split us up by making us fight each other. That is also a possibility if Zero's the one who did it. Who knows how Zero could bend the rules, given he's the one who's controlling the game. Yes, that is why we can't let ourselves fall prey to suspicion. We have to trust one another and form a strong bond of friendship. Otherwise, we'll end up ensnared by Zero's manipulations. Then, does that mean that the person who killed Snake... Yes, almost certainly Zero himself. If there's anyone we should doubt, it should be Zero. He masterminded this game and kidnapped all of us. Doesn't it seem reasonable that he would have killed Snake as well? But then, if he's just gonna go off and kill participants on his own, at random, or maybe not at random, maybe he had a reason, but if he's just gonna go off and kill participants, why set up the game in the first place? Junpei hadn't really considered that. If Zero had killed Snake, then Zero was on the ship with them. Was Zero still on the ship with them? I mean, it would make sense, but then Zero would be putting themselves in danger by being on a sinking ship. But then Zero probably has full access to the ship and could, I don't know, have an escape helicopter ready? Many things only really make sense if Zero's on the ship, because the Reds just straight up vanishing, which seemingly the only purpose for that was to give an opportunity for Snake to vanish and apparently be murdered. That only really makes sense. We were the first ones there. Nobody had a chance to remove those red pieces. It only makes sense if Zero's here, so. Of course he was. That was obvious. Zero was somewhere on the ship, but Junpei had no idea where. Junpei mumbled to himself, lost in thought. Where could Zero be hiding? Suddenly, everyone went quiet. The silence was cold and clammy, and Junpei could feel it crawling across his back and around his throat. Again, he heard the ghosting moaning noise, and moments later, a person who looked more ghost than human appeared. Oh, shit, was she listening? It was Clover. She looked at the floor as she spoke, and her voice was a cold monotone. I think Zero is one of us. I don't want to consider that. Every human body in the room froze. The only sound was a muffled rustling of breath. Eyes darted from face to face. One of those faces was the face of their jailer. But who? Junpei said, I don't like thinking about that. Well, this is a bit of an odd place to stop, but I think now's gonna be probably our best place to take a break. Next time on Zero Escape 999, we will give our answer to Clover on whether or not we think Zero is on the ship with us, or rather, specifically, whether or not we think Zero is one of us. So, yeah, I will see everyone next time as we continue trying to get off of this nightmare ship.